Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Alaina. I am from Indonesia University of Education of Magister Linguistic Program. In this occasion, I want to present my mini research. The title is An Analysis of Politeness on Teacher Interviewing Students. There are several reasons that's why I choose this topic. There are so many cases occur at school, so that the teacher have to solve this case. It relates to the law of the Republic of Indonesia number 14 of 2005 concerning teachers and lecturers. That teachers are professional educators with the main task of educating, teaching, directing, training, assessing, and developing students in early childhood education through formal education, elementary and secondary education. The role of the teacher as a guide here includes a broad meaning, not only as a supervisor in academics but also in non-academic aspects, including the cause when students face problems that interfere the teaching and learning process. Interview are the initial process to handle student case. During the interaction, it is not easy to reveal the truth from what the students say. To reveal the honesty and truth behind the student language, it's necessary to build a comfortable interaction pattern between the teacher and students. Teachers should avoid questions that sound concerning, accusing, threatening, offensive, and so on. Teachers must really pay attention to good and appropriate speech pattern. The research objective to describe the politeness and impoliteness of the teacher's question in the process of interviewing the students. The method of this research is descriptive qualitative. The technique of collecting data was done randomly, used a Google Form questionnaire. The data of this research are teachers' questions who come from several regions of Indonesia. In this research, I used the theory of Gabriel's in 1983. Gabriel's politeness pattern can be a reference for teachers to achieve communication goals in interviewing the students. The research question, based on the background of the study above, the following problems are formulated. What is the form of teacher's question in interviewing students? How are the politeness and impoliteness of teachers in interviewing students based on alleged politeness? Finding and discussion. Based on alleged in 1983, proposed that the language of politeness shall be concerned to six maxims. The tax maxim is meant to reduce the burden for others, give trust and benefit to others. The generosity maxim is meant to reduce the expression that benefit ourselves and maximizing expression that benefit others. The approbation maxim is meant to minimize the expression of disbelief towards others and maximize the expression of approval of others. The modesty maxim is meant to avoid self-aggrandizement. The agreement maxim is meant to reduce disagreement between oneself and others, maximize agreement between self and others. The sympathy maxim is meant to reduce the feeling of antipathy between oneself and others and increase sympathy for others. The secondly, taboo avoidance with sexual innuendos. Example, would that refer to something disgusting as well as dirty or rude words except for certain purposes. The third, euphemism usage, namely smoothing expression as a way to avoid the use of taboo words. The use of this euphemism needs to be applied to avoid negative impression when speaking. The fourth, the use of a honorific word choice is an expression of respect to speak and greet others. Based on Leeds in 1983 politeness model to determine the politeness rank of an utterance, Leeds divided into 5 scales to measure polite. Cost-benefit scale. This can refer to the side of the loss and advantage caused by a speech. A harmful speech to its speaker is considered more polite. Meanwhile, speech that favors the speaker is considered impolite. Optionality scale. This scale determines the number of choice conveyed to the speech partner. More choice and more freedom are considered polite. If you do not give a choice, it's considered impolite. Indirectness scale. This scale determines the form of the direct or indirect speech between the speaker and the speech partner. People who have a distant authority scale usually use more polite language. Meanwhile, people who have a close authority scale usually use less polite language. Social distance scale. This can determine the social relationship between the speaker and the speech partner. People who have close social distance scale usually use less polite language. Meanwhile, people who have a distant social distance scale usually use more polite language. So, familiarity determines the politeness of the language used. These are the examples of teacher's question based on the politeness and least politeness scale. The question that include the tax maxim and indirectness scale. You smoked cigarette on the canteen, didn't you? The purpose of the question is that the teacher say directly to the students that the student has smoked in the canteen. This form of question is included in the maxim of wisdom, which is considered impolite because it is use a direct question word and the question attack the speech partner. Meanwhile, based on the least politeness scale, this question is included in the indirectness scale. Because this question is direct, it is considered impolite. The second question, do you think it's permissible for a student to smoke outside or inside the school area using a school uniform? This interrogative sentence means that the teacher asks students for opinions about school rules that prohibit smoking in school environment. The teacher does not directly say that smoking is not allowed in the school environment, but teachers still provide opportunities for students to have an opinion. Therefore, this question is included in the tax maxim. Meanwhile, based on the politeness scale, this question is included in the indirectness scale. That is, using indirect question is considered more polite. The example of question includes the maxim of sympathy and indirectness scale, such as follow. Why didn't you come to my class? I know you were at school, I feel sad, and it was as if something was missing when you were absent. This question shows that teacher asked the student to give reason why the student did not come to the class. Then the teacher conveys his or her sympathy using the above speech. Therefore, this question is included in the maxim of sympathy. Meanwhile, based on the least politeness scale, this question is included in the indirectness scale, which is considered more polite. There are 50 forms of teacher questions that were found based on the results of collecting the data. Frequency of the type maxim and impolite scale consists of the type maxim consists of 8 questions include the polite and 32 questions include the impolite. Generosity maxim consists of 1 question include the polite. Approbation maxim consists of 3 questions include the polite, and the agreement maxim consists of 4 questions include the polite and 1 question include the impolite. The sympathy maxim consists of 1 question include the polite. So the total of question consists of 17 questions include the polite and 33 questions include the impolite. The result of this study indicate the politeness of the language contained in the teacher question dominates the tax maxim. Meanwhile, based on the politeness scale, There are forms of language impoliteness in the teacher's question dominated by the indirectness scale, which is done to use direct interrogative sentence, does not use greeting words and incomplete form of questions, so that it seems that the speaker only wants to get information from the speech partner for his or her own benefit. This theory and politeness scale can be applied to build the right pattern of questions as an interview process strategy with a humanist character. The teacher should consider verbal and non-verbal language to produce a comfortable interview language model to obtain information from students without pressure and coercion. That's all about my research. Thank you for your attention and for watching, and see you again on another occasion. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.